What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Holics podcast. This is our MLB edition. We are going through our mini series here where we're going through team by team and we're breaking down the fantasy implications of each roster. So today we're talking about the Phillies in our second installment, and I am here with my co-host Ryan. What's going on, big dog?
What's going on, brother? Let's do it.
Rock and roll. Let's talk some Phillies. So we're going to roll right into their lineup. Number one leading off is Andrew McCutchen, the living legend himself. He's been obviously elite in the past. And if you look at his stats year to year, he's kind of slowly fallen off. It hasn't really been drastic, but it's slowly been okay. He used to bat 310. Now he's down to 300. Then 2. So it's been a very slow decline. But the thing is, looks like it can be a pretty potent offense. So if he's at the top of the lineup, he's going to score some runs. He still gets you a few steals. Average isn't there anymore. But if you're looking for run production, he's going around pick 219, which really isn't bad. Then we have number 2, JT Realmuto. Catching for him, he's going around pick 60 right now. He scored 90 runs last season, had 9 steals, which is kind of impressive for a catcher. And I've talked about it a little bit before, but the reason that I like taking Realmuto in that spot is I think he gives you a huge advantage compared to other teams. Catcher is really a dart throw. I know a lot of people like to wait on their catcher, and I think if you don't get Realmuto, I don't even trust Gary Sanchez, honestly. But if you don't get Realmuto, I think it's worth waiting. But man, if he's your catcher, I just think you have a huge advantage having a guy that scores 90 runs, a high average. He's going to drive in runs. Score. He really does it all for a catcher. So I don't know. What's your philosophy with a catcher?
I like Realmuto a lot. Like you said, Realmuto, if you don't get him, might as well wait. But I do like Gary Sanchez, even though you don't. But that lineup is going to be good if it's healthy, the Yankees. But that's another story for another time. But as far as
that's Realmuto, a big if there, by the way.
It is a huge if. At this rate, they'll all be healthy come late May.
Yeah, no, that's funny you say that. So in a few drafts, I've taken Judge and Stanton very late because people are so scared of their injuries. But I'm like, man, by the time the season starts, if we look at July, my gosh, the value you're getting in like I think I took them in like the 11th and 12th round. Those are guys that are going fifth maybe normally, if not higher. So I'll take that all day.
Oh, same here. That's crazy, especially when you're drafting now. Yeah. Guys like Connie, Judge, Stanton, you got to take it while you can. You don't wait around on them. And if people are passing them up, I'll take the value all day.
All day, every day. Number 3 in the Phillies lineup is Bryce Harper. He's going 25.5 right now, right around that second, third round. What's your thoughts on Harper this year?
I'll wait on an outfielder.
You don't like Bryce? See, he's one of those guys that it's the value portion of it for me. We talked about Ozuna in the last episode. You can get similar power and RBI numbers from Ozuna 80 picks later. And when you really start to think about it from that angle, it's a little crazy to take Harper that early.
And that's my thing. At this rate, Harper just has name value. You think of it, right? Ozuna hits similar average. They're 250, 260 hitters at best. 30, 35 home run hitters. Your typical 90 to 100 RBI guys. Why not wait? Why not wait 80 picks later?
Legitimately 80 picks. That's insane when you say that out loud. 80 picks.
It is. Or, why not just take more of a consistent hitter in the middle rounds like my man Eddie Rosario, Or even get Springer. I think Springer, his draft pick average is later than Harper. And Springer hits for more average, and it's a similar player.
Yeah, I think last time I checked, Springer was right around 40 to 50. So you're getting him about a round or two later than Harper. The only way I can see placing a little bit of a premium on Harper is if your league, for some reason, places a premium on getting on base. Harper's very elite on getting on base. Usually he's in that high 380s, 390s, and that's, you can't really argue with that. But, I still think people see the Bryce Harper of 5 years ago that was putting up MVP numbers. But it's been a while since he's done that now. And, maybe the upside's still there, but I think he's kind of settled into the player that he is now.
I agree 100%. Once he took that big contract, I think his MVP year with the Nats was 2013. Yeah. After that, I mean, I think pitchers have really just settled in the fact, like, look, if we're going to throw him something, we're just going to walk him.
Right.
And that's all they do. I mean, like you said, if your league does on-base percentage, that's great value. But at pick 25, I mean, we said in the last episode, Freeman's going around 20th. Why not just get my first baseman or get a lot, you're getting almost 60 points higher of a batting average with Freddie Freeman.
Oh, yeah, at least.
Yeah, so you got to take the average while you can, and plus you get the power and RBIs with Freeman.
For sure. Then batting fourth in that lineup right now is Hoskins, playing first for him. He's going around pick 115 right now, which is, a lot later than I thought, honestly. I've done a few drafts, and I haven't seen him go quite that late. Right. Obviously, his average is going to be extremely low. I think he ended around 225 last year. He's the kind of guy that I'd love to ride the ups and downs of him. He's a very streaky hitter. He started off really strong. I think the last 2 or 3 months of the season last year, he batted 177, something kind of embarrassing for the second half of the season. But, he's still a guy that, once again, the first base class is kind of shallow. So if you're looking for a first baseman a little later in the draft, he's going to get you 30, 35 home runs. In this lineup, you can't deny Harper gets on base a ton. Realmuto scores run. McCutcheon can still score. So he's going to drive in runs still. So I'll kind of ride the highs and lows with him. And, I'll take him at that value.
I would take him at that value, too. I think Hoskins, did he lose his first base eligibility last year?
I believe he still will have it for this year. Yep.
At that rate, if he has the 2 eligibility with first base and outfield, I would take that value all day. At 115, he's got the ceiling, but I mean, his average was in the 240s or 250s last year.
Yeah,
I want to say, and first baseman, if you don't get a guy like Bellinger, Alonso, Freeman, you might as well just wait and get a guy that has the ceiling like Olsen or Hoskins, etc. Those guys are they give you the pop of the ceiling.
For sure. Right now, fifth in the lineup, we go to Didi Gregorius. He's going to be playing short for him. He's currently going around 186.5. I kind of mentioned it before. It's a very deep shortstop class, and he's one of those guys that later in the draft offers a little bit of value. Once again, he's going to score some runs. He steal you a few bases, hit you maybe 20 home runs, 70 RBIs, and really for a shortstop, that's not bad value.
Not at all. Didi does offer a certain pop. He's got good potential, and he's one of those players that has the ceiling of even 85 to 90 RBIs if he's in the right offense. I believe he did that with the Yankees 2 years ago before he got hurt. So, I mean, he's got the potential to do it. And in this offense, they seem well-rounded enough. He could make some noise. I have Didi stashed in a league or two myself. So.
Nice. So you're biased, then, is what you're saying.
No. I pick 180.
Yeah, you can't beat him at that. After him is Juan Segura. He's going to be playing second for the Phillies this year. He is going extremely late right now. Pick 207 on average. And the fact that he's playing second base gives him even more value because we mentioned it before and with the Braves, but second base is a very weak position. So getting Segura, I would take him as my starting second baseman. Honestly, he steals a good number of bases, good average. He's going to score your runs, and I wouldn't be hesitant to walk into the season with him as my starting second baseman.
Not at all, and he fell off quick for some reason. His stats have always seemed, the 2070. He's always been a decent hitter, even with his time in Seattle.
Yeah.
This Phillies team has seemed like they've got the pieces right. If everyone can, be consistent, I would take Segura as my second baseman all day long. With that being said, if I miss out on the top 7 second baseman, I would wait on Segura.
Yep, good value there. After him is Scott Kingery playing third for him. This is kind of interesting to me that Kingery is being taken at pick 197 right now. So he's being taken before Segura, which I just thought that was interesting when I'm looking at it now. I like Segura as more of a consistent option. Kingery offers a few steals. I think his upside is a little capped because he's lower in that lineup, so he's not going to have as many opportunities to drive and runs. I mean, Segura is ahead of him, but not as many opportunities being lower in the lineup. But I just thought that was interesting. He's going 10 picks before Segura, which that just shows how much Segura's fallen off.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would much rather have Segura than Kingery. I don't understand why they would have Kingery projected 20 spots lower.
Yeah, and all of these ADPs are coming from Yahoo, so this is where people right now are drafting these guys in their leagues. So sometimes, that's where I start to do a little bit of analysis when I do redraft leagues more specifically. I start to see where people are going, and I look at things like that, and I just shake my head and go, all right, fine, you take Kingery before Segura and have fun with that.
And I mean, Segura has more potential and talent in general.
Yeah.
On the bat and on defense. I mean, I would take Segura all day long. I think that's just crazy.
All day, every day. And then last in their lineup, he's currently being undrafted as Adam Hazley. Not much to talk about there. Sorry, Adam.
Yep, sorry. Next spot.
Moving into their rotation, we have Aaron Nola. I've seen a lot of different opinions on Nola this year. He had a little bit of control issues last year. And I think my biggest problem with him, he's going around pick 50 right now, and I just don't trust him enough to make him my second pitcher. I don't know what your thoughts are on him, but I'd be interested to see if last year was more of a fluke. I don't think he's as bad as he was last year, and I don't think he was as good as he was the year before. I think he's somewhere in the middle, but that for me is still not worth taking in that spot there.
I agree. I mean, the year before, like the season after he had his good year, he was getting drafted in like the top 35, 40 picks, I believe. And it was just insane. I was passing on that. I was like, no, thanks. I want to take another decent hitter. I always go heavy hitting generally. Mm-hmm. But as far as Nola goes, I mean, that's my second pitcher. I would take it. It's not the best value. It's not the worst. If he's there at pick, like a couple spots after his ADP, I'll take him. I think last year was a fluke.
Yeah, like I said, I think he's more in the middle. That's why
Yeah.
I'll take him as my second pitcher, but I don't know if I'm excited about it.
Where's the difference on him and DeGrom?
DeGrom is his ADP right now is 9 overall.
Oh wow, okay, never mind.
Yeah, no, it's significant. I don't love taking pitchers that early. I get it because DeGrom's been so dominant, but man, right. I don't take a pitcher in the first round.
You got to take your hitter. You got to take that stud. I agree. But as
far
as Nola, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a very telling year, I think. He's kind of been dominant. He's been poor. So really, I want to see where he settles in this season. And that's why I'll sit on the sidelines for the most part. I'd take him if he fell far enough, but I'll sit on the sidelines to see how he does this year. Second in their rotation is Zach Wheeler coming over from the Mets. He's going around pick 115 right now. I personally like him at that value. He's always had a solid K rate. The reason I've seen a few people concerned that he's moving ballparks to Philly, and that's not really a concern for me. He's usually been a ground ball pitcher, so that's not a huge concern to me. The bigger thing for me, though, is he struggled at times with the Mets, and I'm a huge Mets fan, so I watched him quite a bit. And I'm actually excited for him for this because Philly's defense is a lot better than the Mets. The Mets have one of the most pitiful defenses in the entire league. They're very offense heavy, and every time a ball gets hit in play, I think I just close my eyes and hope for the best. And I think Wheeler, I think their defensive alignment is going to really benefit him this year, and that's one of the reasons I like him at that spot right now.
Yeah, Wheeler is he's got a good track record. He's always been consistent.
Yeah,
he's had a few injuries here and there. But I mean, for the most part, he's always been, he's always been a pitcher that gets high strikeouts, gets you wins. He always has control of the game for the most part. And with Philly's defense, you have guys like Segura, Didi, guys that are really good on defense. They have great gloves that can bail him out in those 2-out situations when he needs a ground ball. So,
yeah, and realistically at that spot, you're taking him as your probably fourth pitcher, and that's a spot I'm comfortable with because he has a little bit of upside. And there's nothing wrong with that point in the draft, taking somebody that is a little bit reliable. There's a lot of dart throws you can throw at that point, but I think you're going to get something at least decent from Wheeler at the worst.
Oh, I agree. I take Wheeler as my fourth pitcher all day long.
And then rounding out their rotation, not a ton to talk about. It's Jake Arrieta, Vince Velasquez, Zach Eflin. Arrieta currently is going 243, so he's a really late dart throw. He's had a low K rate since he had his few big seasons with the Cubs. Kind of a flash in the pan there. Vince Velasquez not currently being drafted, and then Eflin not being drafted as well. But any notes on any of those guys?
I mean, not really. Like you said, they're all just flash. I mean, if I had to choose one, the Arrieta.
Yeah, I'd maybe take a chance. I think in the end, though, and he's one of the prospects I'm going to talk about that I really like for this season. Once it gets underway here, is Spencer Howard, but I think he's going to end up taking one of those spots. And then we'll move into their bullpen. Not a ton to talk about here. Hector Neris seems like he has a pretty steady hold on the closer job there. He's going 123rd overall right now, and on base, he has a high K rate. He's going to have save chances with the Phillies being decent. He had a few fluky statistics when you looked at his batting average with balls in play overall, but I think that's a fair spot for him if you're looking to take your closer. Then I actually usually don't really take closers in drafts because I think there's so many you can pick up throughout the year. So it's a different strategy. It kind of depends on how your league's set up. If it's set up where it's strictly saves, I don't go with that strategy. But a lot of leagues now are starting to switch over to the save and hold combined category. And I really don't value closers at all in those formats. I'll grab Seth Lugo, for example, from the Mets with one of my last picks, and he's going to be dominant and get you a ton of holds.
I agree. I mean, holds is 7 through 9 innings. So, I mean, guys like Hector Neris is going, you said 123rd?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd rather take a guy like, Doolittle, Lugo, or, Familia, guys are going to get you saves, or, holds that are just as valuable as saves at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Then we'll end off here. I only had 2 notes on any impact prospects for the Phillies. First one for me is Spencer Howard. He took huge steps last year. He's going to be in AAA to start off the season. I think he'll have an opportunity just because the back end of their rotation is a little weak. He had a really high K rate. He's one of those guys so I worked in AA baseball for a while, and we always said we didn't get optimistic about prospects until they were really successful in AA. That's where a lot of prospects tend to really make their next step forward, or they die. So whenever you see a guy go up to AA, make huge strides, you're like, okay, you start taking a prospect seriously. There's a ton of prospects. If they're in low A, single A, I don't really take them seriously until they show me something in AA. And Spencer Howard took a huge step forward, and I think he's going to continue to do so. And he should end the season in their rotation, which I expect.
I agree. Spencer Howard has all the talent in the world. If he just stays focused and works on his craft, he's going to be a top pitcher. I like him a lot, and he's one of the pitchers that is getting undervalued, as opposed to the Gores and the Mises and the Pearsons and etc. So he's a guy that's like just getting under. He's like under the radar in a way. You know what I mean? But
yeah, no, I agree. We've done a few dynasty drafts now, and I've actually picked him up. He's rated overall. I think MLB came out with their new top 100 prospects. I think he's right around 35 right now. But we did a few dynasty drafts, and in the minors portion of it, I got him around pick 50, 60. And there's just something about it where he kind of stepped onto the scene so quickly, because he wasn't the biggest prospect before last season, but he stepped on the scene so quickly that people are still undervaluing him. And I think that's a big part of why he went that late.
I agree. And he is going late. People are taking hitters over the pitchers after Gore, Mize, and Pearson's gone. And even Anderson, they just start to like fade away and just start going for like the hitters. So I mean, I'll
Yeah,
take
for
Howard
sure.
all day long.
Then the second one we have is Alec Boom. Um, he has a ton of big offensive potential. He hit a ton of home runs last year, drove in a ton of runs. I don't know if he'll make his debut this season. I think it'll take an injury. He's primarily been playing third right now. So maybe if Kingery struggles, he'll get the call up. No, but I think it kind of depends on where the Phillies season lands and if they have any injuries. But he's shown a ton of offensive potential.
I like Alec Bohm too. He's like you said, he's got offense potential, and if Klingery can't cut his part in the offense, Bohm's right there. Especially if they, become like tied for the division or in a close race. I can see Bohm getting called up, but like you said, it's gonna have to take a lot. A scenario like that would have to happen.
For sure. Any other notes on the Phillies today?
I think that's it. That's all I got.
All right, so that's all that we have for today. So tune in for our next part of the series, which we will talk about the very exciting Miami Marlins, which may be the world's shortest installment of this. But make sure you like the Fantasy Holics on YouTube and subscribe. We're on Facebook at Fantasy Holics, and then also Twitter at Fantasy Holics1. So thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks, guys.